minute my nest is in jeopardy, things need to change. Somebody has to keep a job. Somebody has to have the insurance.
Yep.
Somebody has to make sure that the mortgage is going to be paid. He talked about the vision. What we didn't talk about were the
Mm.
risks. One thing about network marketing, it
Yeah.
can make you feel like you're a whole lot more than you are.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it took a toll on us. It took
Mhm.
a toll on our marriage because we did not ask the right questions. It's about us having a plan. My husband, who was steadfast,
Okay.
he was, because I was like, I'm going, I got to find a way to make some money, right? And I'm glad that he was because
Yeah.
we have gotten back all that we lost and some.
Welcome to another episode of Real Talks with an Entrepreneur's Wife podcast, where we help women that are in or have ever been in a relationship with an entrepreneur feel seen, heard, and understood by sharing our true and honest stories about our journeys of being in a relationship with an entrepreneur so that something that we say might help her on her journey, wherever that might be. I'm Janell, your sister, your friend, and the host of this podcast. And I too am on this journey of being in a relationship with an entrepreneur. So today, I do have a wonderful guest that's going to be joining me in the conversation. This young lady, I'll say, has been married to her entrepreneur husband for over 20 years. And she's lived the highs, the lows, and the what were we thinking moments during this life of being in relationship with him. She's a wife, she's a mother, a grandmother, and a 38-year sales professional. She's also an AI trainer. She's an AI trainer, y'all. And what she also does, she's a mentor, she's a coach, and a tech enthusiast. She's the founder of 90 Days to Success, which is a mentoring program where she teaches women over the age of 50 about AI. She spent more than 2 decades herself as an entrepreneur. In her entrepreneur journey, she works as an employee benefit consultant with Legal Shield. She's here today, and she's going to share the real story of what it takes to support a spouse that's chasing big dreams while honoring herself. Welcome to the conversation today, Mrs. Sharon Larry. Miss Sharon, how are you today?
Wonderful, Janelle. Thank you so much. I do appreciate an opportunity to spend some time with you and share my journey with some of the women who may be where I am or may be coming to where I am.
Yes, yes, that is so true because, of course, we all start somewhere. And it is truly a journey. And I am so excited about talking to you because of your experience in the network marketing industry, but also being married to someone that is in that industry. Because for me, that's kind of where I would say our journey started off with and had experiences off and on. And I think one of my biggest struggles was not really knowing who to talk to about certain challenges, not really getting or having that tribe, female tribe. And so I am so excited that you are here today because I'm sure that there's other women that are or have experienced the same thing. So I know they're going to relate. But I do want to start off by asking you, were you and Mr. Larry in entrepreneur type businesses when y'all first met?
No, as a matter of fact, my husband, at that time, my husband was with FedEx and
Okay.
he was moving out of the FedEx. He had been on that corporate ladder and ran into a situation where he just got frustrated enough that
Mm.
he said, I'm going to do something on my own.
Mm.
He had his sights on VP and was disappointed when he hit the wall with some negative superiors. Now, he may have been able to work through it, but I understood where he was.
Mm. Mm.
A woman in sales. At that time, I was the only African American in my company. And I was with a Fortune 500 company, so was my husband. But when he decided that he was going to step out. Now, keep in mind, when he started his entrepreneurial journey, he started in his 20s. I think his first network marketing company was Amway, and he was in
Okay.
his early 20s at the time. Now, that was before we met, but I've heard the stories, right? And so when he decided to take the buyout and said, I'm going to go out on my own, what I did see was a man who had given, close to 30 years to a company
Oh, yeah.
only to find himself in a situation where, like I said, he was frustrated. And I really wanted that for him. Not just him though. I wanted us to be entrepreneurs, business owners. And the reason for that is because I wanted our 6 children to see that there was an alternative. Yes, we have corporate America, but as so many of us have faced in that corporate journey,
Mhm.
as African Americans, it can be sometimes perplexing. And there
Yeah.
are other times when it can be totally dissatisfying. It can really make you doubt yourself. So he says, I'm going to come out. He had been doing executive recruiting on the side anyway for years. So
He's
he was
been doing what kind of recruiting?
executive recruiting.
Okay.
Yes. So at that time, it was mostly tech recruiting for executive levels, and he stepped out, and he was going for it. He was giving it all, and I was still working at the time. Now at this time, I'm in corporate sales. I'm working for Clear Channel Communications, which at that time was the largest communications company with thousands of radio, hundreds of TV, and even the Hispanic market and billboards. So I'm in a situation where I'm also the only African American. I was the only African American that had ever had in sales. And I had worked my way to a certain level, and I was one of the, if not the top salesperson at this point. So I'm believing I'm making 6 figures, over 6 figures, and I'm thinking I can sustain us.
Yeah.
If anything happens, right? Well, something did happen, and the
Oh,
bottom fell out. Oh my God. It was one of the most daunting situations because it wasn't just the business went over, it was the debt, the debt load. So we had just built our dream home and 911, when 911 hit, everything shifted
oh yeah.
in the employee or the hiring space.
Mhm.
And we were devastated. And even with my 6-figure income, it wasn't enough with the new home, everything else that we had done, it really wasn't enough to fulfill the obligation that was in front of us. So now we're in a situation where we've got to find a way to do something else. So my husband decided to go into real estate.
Okay.
Well, while he was in the real estate, he was trying to sell a house to this gentleman. It was in our neighborhood, as a matter of fact. The gentleman gave him a tape to look at. And my husband pretty much, I think he just kind of threw it over his shoulder. It was in the backseat of the car. But he wanted to sell the house. And the guy was adamant that he wasn't going to even move forward until he at least looked at the information.
Wow.
Right. Now, as somebody who's in network marketing or has been in network marketing, I understand that because we'll see, how we say, even if you're taking care of my hair or if I'm buying, I come to your cleaners or whatever business I'm doing with you, if I'm spending my money with you, I want you to at least listen to what I have to offer. Now, we are mature enough to understand that everybody's not going to buy, but we want at least people that we're doing business with, right?
Yeah.
So this gentleman was saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Basically, you want to do business with me, you're going to have to. He looked at it and he realized that maybe twice before, someone had presented the idea to him. And he was thinking, if I can bring in even an extra $500 at this point, it will help us.
Mm.
I'm like, well, okay. And he says, well, why don't you come and take a look? And I was like, no, peace out. No,
Now,
absolutely. I
now,
didn't
why
want
did you say
anything to do
no?
with it
Why did you?
because I knew enough about network marketing. I really thought it would tarnish my brand,
Okay.
right? I had built a reputation at that point.
Uh-huh.
But here is why I eventually said yes. I had gone from living in Memphis and I moved here. My husband lived here, and eventually I moved here. And I was at the top of my game in Memphis.
Sales. Yeah.
Right, top of my game. I come here, I'm like so there, I'm the big fish in a little pond.
Yeah.
Here, I don't even care how to find the pond, you know, but I was smart enough to negotiate a year of salary. So because I was commissioned. I was totally commissioned. I was an employee now, but I was
Wow.
still commission sales, which I preferred it that way. I didn't want a limit on my income. And when the choice came for me to move to commissions, I took it. So I get here and I am in a big city and also trying to rebuild a book of business that I gave up when I left. And I am at the bottom of the totem pole. So I can't even tell you what that did to my ego.
Yeah.
Then layer on these other difficulties that we're experiencing. And it was early in our marriage.
Okay.
Yes, it was very early in our marriage, and it took its toll on us. However, my husband he said, if you will go to me to this meeting, I'll take you anywhere you want to go for dinner. And in my mind, Janelle, I'm thinking, oh, brother, you're going to pay tonight. I'm gonna find the most expensive place, right?
Yeah.
And I get to the meeting and I'm sitting there and I'm pretty much doing this, just wanting it to be over. And then the gentleman who was doing the presentation said something I had never heard before.
Mm.
Said residual income. His actual statement was if you understood residual income, you would run through a brick wall to get it. And I was like, that thing, that
Yeah.
thing sounds interesting.
Real good.
So, yes. So I decided, I wanted to, um, learn more about it, and I jump in. I actually, told my husband, I was like, "I don't really know what to do, but, we decided we're gonna do it together." And we did. We ran hard. We hit the top level at that time in 6 months.
Wow.
Keep in mind yeah. My husband had had the previous experience.
Mhm.
I had the sales experience,
Yes.
right? And so but he was really the lead because he was the network marketer. I was just I was not just some but I was the person who could talk to anybody, right? And eventually, his best friend came aboard. Now his best friend and he were in Amway together, but that was 20-some year prior to, us getting involved with this company. So when he came in, they really started working together and they were really moving this thing. We were building, at that time, we built across the country, almost in every state, Canada,
Wow.
Hawaii. And then, like with so many network marketing companies, there's a bump in the road, and we had a bump in the road.
Mm.
And we were just starting to move past the initial bump we had in the road. Not the bump, the mountain we had in the road, right?
Yeah.
We climbed that mountain. And the company at that time was traded on the New York Stock Exchange. And because of the kind of business we were, the kind of industry we were, short sellers, if you're familiar with
With
anything
the
to do with stocks, you always have people who are trying to short sell the stock to be able to buy it cheaper
Yep.
and buy a lot more. And
Mhm.
we were going through that. And our
Mm.
founder was really struggling trying to keep his business. And that's when I learned, Janelle, that because you started, because you created, because it's your vision,
Yeah.
if it's exchanged on the New York stock,
Mhm.
as a New York stock, then could be a time when it's no longer yours because you have stockholders. There are a
Yep.
lot of people who own a piece of that business. So we had another situation where, because of that, people got scared and started to run.
Mm.
They started to run to everything that was out there. I mean, it was a lot at that time.
Yeah.
Anything that you wanted to sell in the network marketing industry was available. It was travel, it was a juice, it was, of course,
Nutrition,
always yes, nutrition is always there. There were girdles, there were almost anything that, there
facial
were even
cream.
feminine products. But I'm saying, those are traditional. The
Yes,
face cream, the, body lotions. Think about Avon and Mary Kay.
yes.
They've been around as long as I can remember.
Mhm.
It's things like coffee as a product that individuals could sell.
Yeah.
It's things like that offered so many opportunities and everybody with network marketing, not everybody, but one of the things you encounter, and a lot of this I've learned through my husband, right, is that people always feel like they have to go to the new company because they want to start they want to be one of the
At
first.
the top. Yep.
Yes. So we saw a lot of that. And it's funny because my husband always he says, we are he says, he speaks in black and white and I speak in multicolor. Yeah.
Why does he say that?
It's because he's the calm. I tell him all the time he has the swan syndrome.
He is.
Yeah, you ever see a swan? A swan just glides across the water, right? Underneath, they're going like this, right? It's just paddling like their life depends on it.
Yeah.
And that was him, and I'm really thankful for it now. I didn't really understand it at the time. When
Mhm.
you're under that kind of stress, you don't understand anything. All you know is it just does not feel good. But he was remaining, at least, at least in appearance, he was remaining calm. He was always, we're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. I'm panicking because as a woman, one of the things that I realize
Mhm.
is you mess with our nest, it upsets our world,
Yeah.
right? It does.
Absolutely.
It upset our nest, our home. That's the place when we want the most of being confident, right? That's
Mhm.
where we want the most confidence. That's where we want the most solid everything, right?
Mhm.
And to me, I felt like my nest had been overturned.
Mm.
That vultures had come in and just stolen all my eggs, right? So,
You call them vultures?
you ever see vultures how they will go to a nest and steal the eggs?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the way I was feeling.
Yeah.
But he was remaining calm. He was like, "We're gonna get through this." In the process, it's something to know that this have talked about this vision so many times. He would say to me, one day we're gonna have a house that goes up the drive and up the drive and up the drive. Right. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and he had this vision, but so did I. I could see us building something that, we could leave to our children.
Yeah.
I could see the more he talked about the vision, the more I could see that this thing could absolutely change our lives. What we didn't talk about were the
Mm.
risks.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about what if it does not. Right? That's the thing with either being married to or either being an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
You get so caught up in the dream
Yeah.
that you forget the reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what happens when you have that kind of friction is that a lot of marriages can't survive it,
Mhm.
right? A lot of times we feel invalidated,
Yep.
right? Because for several reasons, because we don't see the dream coming to fruition,
Yes.
because that person is away a lot, right? Because everybody else seems to be more important,
Yep.
right? But what we don't talk about is why it's necessary, right? One of the things I think that if I could do it differently, and let's just say that I wasn't even a part of the network marketing,
Mhm.
and it was just my husband, I would have stayed on my job. That would have been the first thing. There's no way we should have both been out there as entrepreneurs.
So that's what you did?
I left my job. I left my
At
job
what point? Like, had your
a year in, a year in.
had your salary been replaced at that time when you
No,
left?
no,
Mm.
no. My,
You
we
really
were
bought
we
into
were
the dream.
close, but we were close. So, but we still, and it wasn't even about replacing my salary as much it was about that insurance, the kind of things we did not take the time to think about.
Mm.
We were just
Yeah.
having so much success, right? And one thing about network marketing, it
Yeah.
can make you feel like you're a whole lot more than you are.
Oh, yes, those
We-
trainings and things, and you get to
yes.
presenting, and
Ah,
yeah.
yes. You can get caught up so easily in all of the hoopla and
Yeah.
all of the hooray and and it's designed that way to keep you moving.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with that. As a salesperson, our company, the come out Fortune 500 company, they did the same thing.
Yeah.
They were always dangling a carrot to get us to do more, get us to do more. So it was the same thing: promotions, incentives, and the plaques and the being on the stage and the
Yeah.
trips,
Mhm.
right? But I would tell anybody that I think that my husband and I, when we talk about it now, we would be so focused on the main thing. And the
Which
main
is?
thing is recruiting people. The main thing is coaching people. The main thing is helping those people get to where they want to be. That's the main thing. What happens is if you get caught up in your ego, you get caught up in just your need, your want, along the way, people know. People can feel it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And nobody wants to feel like you're building a life or a lifestyle or wealth on my back.
Yep.
Nobody wants to feel that way.
Mhm.
And it's so easy in this industry to start to pat yourself on the back because in this industry, you're never solid until you've reached a certain income. And I would say seven figures. If you're not earning at
Really?
least seven figures a year, because think about it. If your partner is not working, let's just say your partner is not working, or you and your partner are doing the business together, there are things you have to consider. Things like taxes, things like insurance, things
Yeah.
like food. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mhm.
and here's the other side of it. It costs you to build a business.
Tell me more.
Okay. There are costs that are hidden. The cost to get on an airplane to go and work with your team in California if you live in Atlanta. The cost if you have to drive to another state. The cost of the materials, the
Yep.
cost. Now, in our case, we can't buy, we're with Legal Shield, you can't buy a lot of Legal Shield. They
Mhm.
allow us to buy it for ourselves and our
Interesting.
immediate children. That's it. And I think your parents, you can buy it for your parents. So, but the conferences, the weekly meeting,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
The Super Saturdays or regional,
Yep.
right?
Good Saturdays. I remember them.
Yes. So there is hidden costs. So when you're talking about, I would say I think if my husband and I were sitting down with a young couple who was
Yeah.
thinking about one or both entering this space, these are all the things we would tell them. Number one, somebody has to keep a job. Somebody has to have the insurance.
Yep.
Somebody has to make sure that the mortgage is going to be paid. But there has to be a promise to that person, whatever that promise is, whatever that person wants, because they're making the sacrifice too,
That's right.
right?
Yep.
So there has to be a promise, and that promise is if we don't do X, Y by X, Y, Z time, here's our next move.
Yep. Yep.
And typically, I would say to that couple, and that next move cannot be another network, right? Not as the plan B. It can be the
Yeah.
plan B and a half, point 5, right? Because there's no stability there.
So what do you think is a reasonable amount of time? Or do you just feel like it really depends on your skill level, your experience with, say, sales and recruiting? Like if you were talking to a young person, a young couple, and your, boundary, so to speak, this is let's give this couple years, or let's give this 3 years or 5 years. Like, do you think that there's a particular time frame that they should look at for setting their goals?
Minute my nest is in jeopardy, things need to change.
That's a good, yeah, yeah. That's a good measuring stick.
Basically, so it's a financial measurement, right? If we don't have money saved up, and as we're aging, right?
Yeah.
So at 40, now we typically you want to start looking at your life at 20. It's these
Mhm.
landmark ages, right?
Yeah.
20,
Yep.
30, then 40. Well, at 40, now you're considered almost halfway, I mean, that's what the statistics tell us, right? At 40, you don't have as much time to recover as you did at 30 or 20, right?
So
And
true.
it's even
So
it's
true.
even harder at 50. And we were almost 50 when we started.
Really?
Yeah, he was 49, I was 47. Yeah.
Well, Miss Sharon, with you and him, because you went to this networking marketing meeting and you joined. So, how many network marketing companies have you guys been in together?
That was the first.
Just one. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was the first.
That's amazing. And I say that because I know for us, we've been pitched so many different companies. And as you mentioned, like, they all sound good. There's so many different opportunities for them, especially if there's something new. And so oftentimes we did take part in some of them, especially if it seemed like something that we could use ourselves. And so when it seemed like it was something that we could benefit from ourselves as a product or a service, it seemed like it made sense. So for you to be a couple that joined one, went to top levels, and didn't explore, well, I won't say explore, but didn't take hold to another company, I think that's absolutely amazing.
We did not, and we were pitched probably every company that you
I'm
would get.
sure. I'm
Mhm.
sure.
Uh-huh.
So even with the rough patches with that company, you guys hung in there.
And here's why, Janelle. When that shift happened, we
Yeah.
were able to make a shift. I was able to move over to B2B. I
Okay.
was able to take the skills I had all the years in sales and move into B2B, which is our employee benefit division. So as my husband continued to work with the team and continued to try to work through the fallout, it allowed me to go and focus on B. And it was a space where I was able to start to create a significant income again.
Mm,
Now that gave us time to recoup. That gave
yes.
us the time to breathe, to get the nest back in order. And it'll also allow my husband now to focus in a way that even though he was doing the swan dance, but I knew that he was under a lot of pressure. And, it's funny because we as women, we have a way of feeling and knowing without being told what people are going through, especially people we love. And I knew what he was going through. I was trying not to put any additional pressure on him,
Yes.
but at the same time, I was under pressure. And at the same time, I needed to blame someone. Well,
Mm-hmm.
he was the one that introduced me to it. It's like, you. And
Yes.
unfortunately, it took a toll on us. It took
Mm-hmm.
a toll on our marriage,
Yeah.
right? Because we did not ask the right questions. It wasn't even about asking questions about the company or the product, because most of it can be good products. I
Yeah.
haven't seen anything that just was horrible products.
Right.
So it's not even about the companies. It's not even about the products you're going to be selling, not so much. It's about us having a plan, us being able to, move to the left, right? Or take this fork in the road,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's being able to shift.
Yeah.
And The hard part for us was that we were already close to 50 when we got started. By the time we were in the fallout, we were well into our 50s.
Wow. So yeah, that makes it even tougher for sure.
And at that point, we could not see ourselves starting all over again with
Right.
another company.
Mhm.
And God, in His infinite wisdom, brought us into a company that was not a Me Too company.
That's good.
Yeah. Our company was not like I could say to somebody, I'm selling a skincare. It's wonderful. And they go, Me too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
You know, whatever. We were the only kid on the block in this particular space.
Yeah.
That helped us because what was happening, even if we could not recruit, we could sell the product. So that's
Yeah.
where the shift came. The shift was we're not able to bring as many people to the table right now because of the fallout, because of what's going on with the stock, because of all of these things. And people are leaving because they feel like, I want something easier or I don't want to have to deal with what's going on over here. But we were in a position that we may not at that point recruited hundreds and hundreds of people, but we could sell that product and we could make money and we could sustain ourselves because we could sell the product.
Initially, was it recruiting the heavy part that you guys were doing versus
Yes.
selling?
Yes.
Okay.
The first 5 years, that's all we did.
Wow.
We had no idea there was a B2B division or there was, and as far as just selling the product individually, we weren't really focused on that. We would sell a plan, if somebody just wanted it, but
Mhm.
we were doing the traditional network marketing, recruit
Yeah.
to sell the product,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's how we were initially selling it. But
Mhm.
when we realized that we could make this shift, right? I went over to the B2B side.
Mhm.
We have a small business plan. We can make as much as, on one plan, 500 to $1,000.
Mm.
Yes. Yeah. And
Okay.
that was the difference. That's why we didn't leave because we didn't see anything else like that.
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah.
else that we looked at was you had to recruit to earn money. You couldn't
Yeah.
just go out and sell the product and make money. The other thing was that Legal Shield paid us 12 months in advance. So if you were selling a product in
Mhm.
network marketing, you make
Mhm.
2, 3, $8, $10 or whatever, right? We got paid 12 months in advance on that product.
Interesting.
Yes.
Wow.
So now we could take it as earned,
Mhm.
but we could also take the 12 months advance. And that allowed us to be able to really start to build back our financial well-being.
Yeah. So
So
you mentioned some questions that you guys should have asked early, um, early on, and not about the business per se. But what are some of those questions that you're thinking that you guys should have?
I would have sought out the top producers and I would have literally interviewed the top producers. And here's the questions I would have asked. When you came into the business, how were you financially? How many months of income had you put away, right? Did you have an extensive access to an extensive number of people,
That's right.
right? Based on where you came, did you come from another network marketing company? Are you a pastor of a church? You
Yeah.
know, I want to know. And if that's not the case, were you always someone who could move people? At what point did you decide, at what you decide that you would leave your job? If you started this on a part-time basis, at what point did you decide you would leave your job? And when
Mhm.
you left your job, how was the first year of not working and doing this full time?
Those are some really good questions.
Because we see people, think about it. We see people and they come in this business and they're running and gunning. And, today they brought in 2 million people, right? What we didn't know is the story behind the story.
That's right. Yep.
So We're trying to achieve something that we see someone on the stage that is, and, who's achieved a certain level, a certain amount of money,
Yep.
without understanding who they are, where they came from, what kind of reach they had access
Yep.
to, right? And the company is not going to tell you. No. You have to, and you know what we do? We get all starry-eyed. All we want to do is get your signature. What is it? Your autograph, right? Right? Or just be in the space with you.
Yeah.
No. I would ask if you're open, I would say, Janelle, if you're open, would you be willing to give me 15 minutes? Because I want to do this in a way that would cost me the least amount of negativity. I'm ready to deal with what business brings in terms of, negative energy.
Mhm.
Because any business, there's going to be negative energy. Anytime
Yeah.
you're dealing with people, right? But I don't want it's things like I can't pay my rent.
That's right.
That's a whole nother level of anxiety,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Mm.
Especially if you got children,
Yes.
So those are the kind of things I would have asked.
So, we've made it to this point in the episode, and you're still here with us. I truly believe that something was said in this conversation that spoke to you. And because of that, I encourage you to take a few moments to journal about what resonated in your mind and in your heart. Journaling can be such a powerful form of self care and clarity. And I would love to help you with that. Simply send me an email to realtalkswithjanelle@gmail.com and I'll send a journal prompt directly to your inbox. Now, let's get back to the conversation.
Yeah. I know you were talking about the costs associated, and I do remember um, just taking into account the conferences, the cost of the conferences, and it was fun. It was fun in the beginning. The conferences are high energy, and you're around people that have big dreams and goals, and this is oftentimes different from your everyday environment, different from your work environment. And so it gives you that level of hope and excitement. But yeah, the conferences cost, the sales material cost, going to those. I remember when we got started, the first company we were introduced to was a nutrition company. And my husband and I were walking in the neighborhood. We only had one child at the beginning at that time. And this lady in the neighborhood introduced us to this nutrition network marketing company, and it sounded quite appropriate. Me being a nurse by profession, and my husband is very health conscious as well. He's not an advocate at all for medication. Like, he will try to do as much as he can to avoid medication. So it all sounded good. But I do remember, as the children, and we're still consumers of that product. So we definitely believe in the product, but the financial part didn't really pan out the way that I expected it. And you mentioned about, are you able to move people? And I'll say that for me, even though I had the presence, I had the character that people can trust, at the same time, I considered myself an introvert. And in addition to that, fear of rejection. So I didn't want to be hearing too many no's. So
I get it.
I wasn't trying to do that too long, but I mean, definitely believing in the product, but also having that concern about the efficacy. Me being a nurse and promoting nutrition products to people that are on medication, how safe is it,
No
things of that
brand.
nature. Yes, yes. But then as we started having more children and just going to the weekly events, the weekly trainings when they're having them at restaurants. And, now you're taking your kids and putting them in the corner, but you have to talk to them and say, okay, we're going to eat at home first. You're not getting nothing off the menu because we can't keep buying food for the restaurant every week. So yeah, the cost adds up. And it got to a point for me because my husband, he's kind of like the swan thing you mentioned. He would be very confident. Baby, it's all right. I'm looking at the credit card bills like, this is what the bills are right now. What's the plan? And he was always so positive and, oh, don't worry about it. We're gonna be good. Still, yet I'm the one managing the
Yeah.
bills, managing the checkbook, and all. I'm seeing the numbers go up. I'm watching the numbers going from in and out. So I have more of a picture of what it's looking like. But I finally had to make a decision for myself that, okay, I'm not going to this conference because the cost for the airlines, the cost for us eating out while we're there. And in addition to that, when we go, then he wants to buy this merch, the shirts, the t-shirts and all the extra. And I had to come to a point where I'm
Because they don't teach
telling,
us how to make a budget.
yes,
There's no conversations around making sure that we're gonna be okay,
yeah,
making sure that financially we're gonna be okay. They
mhm,
constantly talk about making sure that you're in personal development, but to me, personal development should include a
mhm,
level of coaching to help people financially in this endeavor, because that's why we see so many people move through it.
yeah,
Because once it starts to affect your home, and then it starts to affect your relationships, the relationships with your partner, with your children, and
mhm.
other extended family members.
Oh
Be-
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want to see you coming. What you trying to sell now?
And for us, we were the patriarch and matriarch of both of our families. I'm the oldest.
Okay.
Malcolm was not the oldest, but the family relied on him a lot, like he was the oldest. The respect level for him, like he was the oldest, and that's because of our previous careers and the successes that we had. And for me, it was just being the oldest. Raised my siblings.
Mhm.
Their opinions of us shifted.
Mm.
That broke my heart,
Yeah.
right? Because I was always seen as, mom too to them. But when they saw what they thought that we had done was made very bad decisions. Now, it's shifted now. But at that time, when you imagine that I was calling my sister, my baby sister, who I pretty much raised, who went into the military from my house. 18 years old, she was living with me, and I was calling her to get her to help me pay my phone bill, my cell phone, and that's at the time cell phone bills was like $700. It was at the time it was really nothing like it is now,
Yeah.
because you were paying for it by use at that time, and she was just flabbergasted that I was asking that. So that's why I believe that there's a better way to do it. Now,
Mm.
I may be the only one who believes that, but I
Mhm.
believe that I have an obligation to tell people exactly what this is going to look like.
Yeah.
Now, you can't tell someone every negative detail. They would just never, they would never part the door, right? They would
Yep.
never come in. But
Mhm.
say, now let's sit down and really talk about where you are, how you need to start saving now. If you're working and doing this part-time
Mhm.
and your goal is to eventually become full-time, don't count on that salary or that income or the money you make in the network marketing company. That is no money because everything you make is going back into that business. You can't count it. It's not an income. It is an investment
Yeah.
in building that business. So that means that if you're working and or your partner is working, then you guys going to have to think about what that income looks like, how you can survive with that income or those incomes. Do not count on this other income. It takes years to get it solid. It takes years to get it to the point where you can count on it.
Yeah. And the having the children, again, you mentioned it earlier about insurance. having family insurance, somebody having a job so that you can carry the insurance is for you have to be responsible.
Mhm.
You know, you
You do.
can't have big dreams and not be responsible. You have to be
If you're going to do
operate
that,
from
you need to be
reality too.
single. If you're going to yeah, right? There's a way to do network marketing. There's a way to build anything because
Yeah.
and we're talking network marketing, but I've seen the same thing with a lot of my friends or associates who built other businesses. I've seen their businesses fail. Opened their doors, they're selling whatever, clothes, food,
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
I've seen the struggle you know, trying to hire employees,
Yes.
trying to get employees to do what they're supposed to do, trying to
Yep.
keep the employees from stealing from them,
Mhm.
and not to mention the overhead and all of that. So it's not just network marketing,
Right.
it's entrepreneurship in general.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
If you're going to do it, start it when you're young and start it when you're single.
Started when you're single.
When you're single. I'm not saying you can't do it together as a couple, but it's something about getting that experience when you're young.
Yeah.
It
Yeah. How
can
did you recover? How did you guys recover the relationship with your families?
well, it was us. We got back in the game hard and heavy. Now, keep in mind we're in our 50s. And you ask, you talk about the fact that you guys had tried this avenue, this avenue. We just couldn't do that.
Yeah.
We might have, but we just could not at this point. It was like, we have to make this work. But we recognized too that we still had an opportunity. We could still sell the product.
Mhm.
And the employee benefit space was just starting to really make an indention in Legal Shield was starting to make an indention in that
Mhm.
space. And so once I started that, think about it. One of my largest clients is they have 30,000. Now
Wow.
you have to imagine I've been with this company now for the company has been a client with me now for 15 years.
Wow.
So think about the first employee benefit sale I made. Now this is being deducted from their paycheck. So that
That's
person is
huge.
still with the company. And for
So
15 years, I've been earning income from that one sale.
with you, so you were able to improve the relationship with family based on the fact that they saw you guys built back up and saw that you were serious, or how did it come about?
They could see, we were posting all on Facebook every time we were on the stage, all the trips we won, and all of the awards we have. And
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
and of course, we did it intentionally. We wanted the world to know that we were down, we were bent, but we weren't broken. Right?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So for other couples, because yeah, definitely is a thing where you can mess up relationships by pitching, so to speak. Is there any other way that you think would be a great way to recover relationships that are
I think
somewhat
having
damaged?
honest conversations.
Just honest
Again, the
conversation.
ego, the ego, the
Yes.
ego, edging God out, right? It is a masterful thought process, the ego. We
Mhm.
need it because if you're going to do what we do, you need a certain level of ego. And
Yeah.
confidence comes in ego, right? But at the same time, the ego can keep you from being vulnerable too. Now,
So
you
true.
can't be vulnerable with everybody. Right, but there are some people that you need to go to, I think, that you need to go to and you need to say, "I have this dream," and this is the conversation I had with my mom and my siblings. I would rather go to my grave having failed than going to my grave and not having tried to do the thing that I came here to do. And I came here to be wealthy. And you know how I know that? Because my mother, she would tell me all the time, you're the one that can change this family history,
Ooh.
right?
Wow.
She believed in me. And Melvin's family, they believed in him. They
Yeah.
believed that he was the one that could change their family legacy,
Mm.
right?
That's awesome.
Yes. So it's those conversations. And my ego and his ego kept us for years. for years from having those conversations with our siblings and, because we didn't wanna look like we were down even though everybody knew that we were.
Yeah.
It's still, it's like that's the last glitter of hope. My ego, I can hold on to, that. But I would say have those conversations with the people that you love, that matter
Mhm.
to you. Let them know I'm here to do something, right? And I'm trying to figure it out. It
Yeah.
feels like it's supposed to be in this direction, but I'm open to moving in another direction if God so means for me to do that. But an entrepreneur, they were born that way. Look if you read any biographies, right, of some of
Mhm.
the people, from Bill Gates gave up college, everything. He knew that he was born to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
He knew that the restraints of a job could not hold what he had to offer this world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say to a young couple,
Mhm.
if she is going to be in that space, you have to hold down the job. If he is gonna have to be in that space, then she is gonna have to hold down.
There's the turbulent times. How did you implement self-care to keep your mind sanity? Because there were some financial strains that caused some anxiety for you. So how did you work through that as far as like your self-care, your mental?
For me, it wasn't so much, there are a lot of women who they need the massages, they need to get their hair done, they need to, take long baths. I just started taking baths, just lay in the tub for 2, 3 hours because for me, my brain was running the whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
It's like, I believe my husband can figure it out, but God didn't send him a woman who couldn't do the same thing. The
Yeah.
reason he was attracted to me is because he knew that I was smart enough to figure out how to move some things, right?
Amen.
I may not have been able to create the kind of magic that would keep me from ever having to deal with difficulties, but I'm a person who, like I said, you can bend me, but you can't break me,
Amen.
right?
Yeah.
So it was like I was right alongside him. We're gonna figure this out one way or the
Yeah.
other. So whatever we got to do, and I was looking. I would
Mhm.
have gone to another network marketing company. I would have in a heartbeat. It was my husband who was steadfast.
Okay.
He was because I was like, I'm going. I got to find a way to make some money, right? And I'm glad that he was because
Yeah.
we have gotten back all that we lost and some.
Amen. Praise God for that.
Yes.
Praise God for that.
Yes. We can pretty much do what we want, how we want it. I would not say that we're wealthy, but I would say that we are very comfortable.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I wish I had have met you earlier.
Thank you. That's quite a compliment.
Yeah, because I definitely over time developed like a love-hate relationship for network marketing
But
because of the
Janelle, now
struggles.
you get the chance to tell another young couple, ask the question.
Yeah,
Ask the
right.
question and then ask more questions, no matter
Yeah,
what they say, because they're willing to tell you everything else. They're willing to tell you how you need to do this, that, and go
yeah,
to this, spend money on this. Then I feel like how you can tell me all of that, I have a right to ask you the questions to provide the best possible safety of my marriage, my children, my home.
yeah, yeah. You know, one of the things I really liked about network marketing is the personal development. The personal development, although I will say that because of my introvertedness and I can be a homebody sometimes. And so if we're out in public, I know my husband, he's going to talk to any and everybody. So I know now to make sure I have the key so that I don't have to be nudging him to let's go.
Yes.
I can
Yeah.
just take a beeline to the car if I need to and just kind of hang out, rest my mind there.
See,
But
that's
the
a great
personal
nugget. That's a great nugget.
Yeah. But the personal development through network marketing has been very, very beneficial. Now, my husband is not heavy in network marketing now, but I remember talking to a young lady that is also going to be on the podcast at some point. But she and I were talking, and I was telling her about my feelings about network marketing, and his I would say serial bouncing from companies to company, so to speak. But she shared one thing she said to me that was very impactful, and she said, "Oh wow, he did network marketing." She said, "If you think about it, his experience in network marketing has helped to shape him to be the business owner that he is now. It's helped to groom him to have the level of success that he has with building his own business." So being able to have that conversation with her helped to shift my perspective
Now,
a
what would
little
you
bit.
say? You asked me earlier, what would I say to someone who's dating an entrepreneur or a serial entrepreneur? My
Mhm.
honest opinion,
Mhm.
do not marry him. Do not marry him until his feet are solidly on.
Mhm.
Now, I
I
looked at
agree.
the podcast, that recent podcast, Dr.
Stacy.
Yes, Dr. Stacy, and she was so honest, but
Yes.
she was thinking very clearly about what could work for her and what couldn't.
Mhm.
Right? What we do most of the time is we're thinking about the other person. She
Yeah.
was thinking about herself. She knew exactly what she could and could not live with.
Yeah.
And she decided to move away from that relationship. And she was wise enough not to marry him,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole, I think that's the whole gist of being able to look back. Hindsight is 20.
Right.
And I think my husband would say the same thing. I'm almost sure that he would say to a young man who is pursuing this entrepreneurial journey, who
Mhm.
has a woman that he is seeing, maybe someone he loves. He would say, if you love her, don't drag her through this journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, you may lose her, but it's better to lose her than to destroy her.
That's so good, and I totally, totally agree with that.
Mhm.
Totally agree
'Cause
with
I
that.
came back, but everybody can't, Janelle.
That's right.
I came
Yeah.
back because when I started, I had almost 20 years of sales. I came back because the company had a B2B division that was sales that allowed me to use skills that I had honed for 20.
Right. Right. Yeah. So, Miss Sharon, is there anything else that you can think of, something that you wish you knew sooner about being in a relationship with an entrepreneur? Is there anything else that you would want to share?
Yes. You have to push him.
Yes,
You have
ma'am.
to. You have to push him either further in or push him out. If you're
Mm,
gonna be married to a man who is in network marketing or an entrepreneur, you have to have a certain amount of demand. And I know that sounds anti support. It sounds
supportive.
right. It sounds anti wife. But we in a lot of ways we make them.
How do you push them in a loving way?
That's a good question. How you push them in a loving way is it's not, "I'm suffering, look at what you're doing to me." It's that I have an expectation that my children, your children,
Mhm.
will be able to make sure we have a place, a home, that they have a roof over their heads, that, they're not having to worry about anything but to be children. I have
Yeah.
an expectation, and if that expectation is not met, then you and I are gonna have to rethink this. Now, I didn't say that I'm walking away from the marriage. That's not. But we need to stop and we need to rethink this.
We right. Use that we,
We
not
we
you.
gotta have some limits. We can't just go like, okay, I'm just gonna go forever, forever, forever. We have to say,
Yeah.
I am by your side. I see your passion,
Right.
but there are certain things that we have to have some limits. You owe that to me.
That's good. I like that. I remember one of the things that I ended up saying to my husband to help him because I don't think, like, even though I said it different ways, I don't think he really got it. How I had a problem with the jumping from company and adding, because you can't focus like that. Even though there are multiple network marketing companies, you can't. I don't think you can be successful with being in
Can
multiple at
I
the
can
same
I
time.
jump in here? Because you know what he was doing? He was
What?
just trying to figure it out.
Trying to figure it out.
He was so desperate.
Yeah.
And when we see that, that's when we have to say, "Okay, stop, 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 stop. Just stop it
Mhm.
right now. We need to talk." And it's almost like, and my husband he's a man's man. And for me to say, "Okay, just stop." Right? And it's hard for me because I know that's not typically what he wants from me.
Mm.
But there are
Yeah.
times when I just have to say, I am not going to do that. I can't keep you from doing it, but I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Those boundaries are important. Because you have to be sane as a partner. If you're
Yes.
not good, then it's not going to be good for him.
And as the person who's holding down the fort, meaning
Mhm.
that you're probably the one who's spending most of the time with the children and taking
Mhm.
care of them. Not saying that they're not good fathers, because part of being a good father is going out there and trying to make the best life possible for your family.
Mhm.
So I'm not saying that. But usually the person who's at home is the one who is spending most of the time and caring for the children.
Yeah.
And what I know as a mother, what I can't stand is I can take a lot, but I don't want to see my children having to just deal with something that can be changed, can be different.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Miss Sharon. How can people tell us more about your business and how can people find you?
Okay. So, I'm still with the Legal Shield,
Yes.
and I provide Legal Shield as an employee benefit. So I'm always looking for companies who have employees who offer benefits, and we call them voluntary benefits, meaning that these are benefits over and beyond health and life that are required by law.
Mm.
Voluntary benefits are benefits that they bring to the table, like an AFLAC, that's a voluntary benefit, and we're in that same space. I'm also really looking at entrepreneurs and their need to have access to attorneys. Right now in this AI space, I was
Yeah.
just in a meeting. I have an AI community that I was in right before you and I met. And one of the things that I asked them is, you're building all of these wonderful things in this AI space. How are you protecting your intellectual property? You're building
Oh.
this, creating this. You need to trademark it, you need to copyright it. We need to make sure that we have certain business documents in place. We need to
Mhm.
make sure we're maximizing any tax deductions. We need to make sure, and those are the kind of things we learned a little of that, of course, in network marketing. But I'm looking for small business owners. That would be somebody who works from home,
Mhm.
somebody who has a small business. We have a small business plan that will help you have access to professional advisors. Our doctors are professional advisors. We go to them when we have any medical issues, questions, concerns. Attorneys are our professional advisors when it has anything to do with any legal matter. Well, in this country,
Mm.
everything is a legal matter. The Constitution is a legal document, right?
Yes.
And our laws are created from the Constitution. And to be able to have someone that can help you understand and interpret the laws so that you can benefit, right? That's what having an attorney is all about. It's
Yeah.
about positioning yourself so you have a professional advisor
Mhm.
who can help you to understand your options, who can help you to understand how to make better choices.
Yeah.
Because if we know better, we do better.
That's right.
I'm passionate about this plan. Like you talk about the product that you're still using. If I was not part of Legal Shield, I would keep this plan and I would still recommend it.
Yeah. That's
That is
good.
I'm also doing the AI thing, but I'm not talking about that just yet because we're
Okay.
getting ready to launch, and I wanna make sure we've got all of the elements in place, and I will come back hopefully and share that with you. But in
Okay.
the meantime, as a small business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, make sure you have access to attorneys. It's amazing what they can do for you. We got audited one year, and if you're an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
you could be subject to an audit.
Yeah.
Because if you don't understand how to,
Keep
set your
your book.
business up properly, IRS came after us, $36,000
Mm.
because we had Legal Shield. It went from 3,600 to they're owing us $230.
Wow.
Yes.
Awesome.
No, the kicker was, had we gone by ourselves, a lot of the things they were asking us for, the attorney was saying things like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to give them that. We wouldn't have known.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Makes a difference, right?
Right.
On the smallest of things, I can remember, I had gotten this coupon for a new cleaner that had come into the neighborhood. It was 10 pieces. And I typically wash most of my things. And my husband, he has suits, shirts at the time. And I got 9 pieces were his. I had one dress that I included to use as
Mhm.
I go back to pick up the cleaning. All of his stuff is there. Even his ugly tie was there. But the dress is missing. The dress is missing. So I say to them, please, it's my favorite dress. You know how the dress, when you put it on, everybody said, girl, you look good in that dress?
Look good.
Yeah. So I'm asking them, please look under my name, my husband's name. I want the dress.
Yeah.
Eventually, she, I think, just got frustrated with me asking her, how did this happen? Tell me what the process is. Maybe we can walk back through backwards and just trying to figure out how to get the dress. And she
Yeah.
said, well, you bring your clothes in at your own risk. And
Mm.
there's just nothing we could do. And I was so mad to the point where I really wanted to throw hands, but I know better, especially in that
That was
particular
a special
environment,
dress.
right? So I walk out of there, I'm in tears, and I'm thinking, "What can
Mm.
I do?" And it just hit me, right? You can call the attorneys. And I went to the went to call the attorneys. They calmed me down, and they said, "Let us call her."
Mm.
Call them, and they called. 5 minutes later, guess what showed up? The dr
What?
the dress. It was a
What?
it was a $17 dress. They couldn't find it. They got the call from that attorney. They found that dress. Do you see what I'm saying?
Wow.
Right? When we can't move situations, even the smallest of situations, to the $36,000, my
Yeah.
attorneys are stepping in to help me move this situation.
I love that.
Yes.
I love
That's
that.
what that
Okay.
is about.
So, how do people reach you if they want to talk with you more about working with you?
They can reach out to me on my email, and that email is clarity with a K, KLARRITY @gmail.com. And or you can go to our website and it's aboutourplans.info. One of the things we do right now, which is important, very, very important, is to get some estate planning in place. Your will,
Oh
living
yeah.
will, healthcare directive, it's all included in your plan. There is no additional cost. It's included in the plan.
Hold on. You said the will,
The living will, the
living
healthcare
will.
directive, and the financial directive for you and your spouse is covered under the plan.
I love that.
And we also have a plan where your trust is covered. When we first had the conversation about getting our trust done, it was going to be close to $8,000.
Right.
And now we could get it done. We were able to get it done under our plan, and it cost us 250 because we're at a time when we don't know what our government will and won't do. We need to
Mhm.
have some fail safes in place. We need
Right.
to have somebody who's going to protect our rights, even though day to day we don't know what they're going to be. But
Mhm.
whatever, we need somebody who can step in. We're no longer going to be able to march. We're no longer going to be able to, do what we did in the 60s.
Mhm.
The only way for us to protect ourselves now is through whatever legal means possible.
Right.
And the only people who can help us do that are attorneys.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Well, I think that that's all we got today.
Wonderful. It's been a joy, a pleasure to be here with you today, Janelle.
You
Thank you again for allowing me to spend this time with you.
I am so happy and grateful that you said yes, as I know a lot of these conversations aren't being had. So the fact that you were generous enough to come and share that, I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful. I know it's going to change a lot of lives and it's going to help a lot of couples. So thank you so much. To anybody that's listening, thank you for hanging out with us today. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, I do ask that you subscribe to the channel, click the like button, and also leave a comment. Leave a comment about something that you heard, if there's any questions that you had, if there's anything that resonated with you. I know that there's a lot of people that have had experience with network marketing. Leave your comment. What is something valuable that you learned along the way that you can help another woman? We don't want to be bashing the industry, but we want to teach people, help them along their journey in ways that can lift them up and just set them on the right path. So if you have comments like that, definitely leave it in the comment. But again, if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe, please like. And until next time, goodbye.